very good morning and welcome to the Celebrate First Show. Thank you for joining us. It's a Friday, the start of a weekend. Sithemba ukuthi niphilile. Nivuka kahle sevele shayela insimbi esithupha lokushona ukuthi yes, ku Celebrate First Show iyaqala. Do watch us on our YouTube page, Eswatini TV, as well as on DSTV channel 286. My name is Lungelele Makakula. Ngihambe ngedwa nemlingani wami Shumna Kubila. How are you this morning?
Philile mfombeni njani wena?
Philile mngoni Friday.
Na kwaba ngilesihlanu sengiyanaka lo ukuthi naba labathanza ibhola. Bacabanga ukuthi sekungabo konke kodwa ke nathi sesakwamukela lo ngoba sitayicocisa indzaba yadoda emidlalo lomuhle sithathele emsakato Fabrice Msoni Rabonkosi ngisandvusela nje itawukuda sitawuticocisa. The Premier League of Eswatini makes its return again following a break here in Ingwenyama Cup Security Force Derby this Saturday. Is one of the main attractions. Young Buffaloes will play Green Mamba at the King Sopuza II Stadium. This is going to be this Saturday. Kanti-ke the main attraction Kalanga Technical Center njengoba nakhona itaba khona imidlalo is going to be the double header that will see relegation threatened Manzini Wanderers hosting Nsingizini Hotspurs, the Shiselweni side, one of my favorite teams in the league. While the second match will be between Imadlenya and Mbabane Highlanders. Skatzileke ukuthi the capital side will be all out for revenge as they lost 1 eCanzeni ke in the first round. Kutawuba imphela sonto lemnanzi kakhulu kutemidlalo. Sitawubuka nabo English Premier League, sibuke nabo La Liga, but sifuna kakhulu kunaka nati letendeka lapha ekhaya njengoba the league is nearing its end already. Green Mamba sayivele yenda njalo Ingwenyama Cup. Will it be enough for them to sustain that kind of motivation again in the league with all the woes surrounding their coach Ernest Mavuso? I've seen the headlines evikini njengoba lelivikiselo siliqalile sibona headlines etemidlalo. Ernest Mavuso, there's an ongoing conversation there with the renewal of his contract. Is that going to motivate him? Is that going to demotivate him? What does it say to the morale of the team? Iyonke nje njengoba siyibonile ukuthi idlale quite a beautiful showcase ku Ingwenyama Cup. Are they going to be able to maintain that during the league, or Lama competitors will have studied how they play and they will also try to get that first carrot by winning the Premier League of Eswatini Yalonyaka. It's going to be interesting indeed. Let's talk about it with Fabrice Msoni later on the show. Another thing that we want to talk about Inzaba World Book and Copyright Day. It's going to be a brief conversation. Sitawuxoxisana nabaqhamuka lapha Eswatini Library mhlaba wonke lesihlanu njengoba nje kunguye lomuhla ubuke yona indzaba World Book and Copyright Day. Sitayixoxisa ke nayo leyo ndzaba leyo kancane luhlelo lusaqhubeka.
Yes, so I think we should nasingena ukuthi so nakile ukuthi ngalabo Fridays enjabulo ebalethula. I think but kulo particular Friday I think it's because I'm excited because we're only left with 7 days until the King's 56th birthday. Letabe isemankayana. So I think Thandi, Minister of Home Affairs, uvedile ukuthi ama preparations ahamba kahle, uvedile nokuthi 80% angasho ukuthi mhlambe sebamsebenzile. So ngaloko sida besinayo nje Mlandvo Dlamini, the communications officer khona iTiko, kuva ukuthi vele amalungiselelo ahamba kanjani. Simbonile ke na minister ahlangana nama stakeholders lahlukene kanye nama traditional leaders khona emankayana, kuva ukuthi ingabe amalungiselelo ahamba kanjani. Sifuna kuva ukuthi vele kahle kahle bomgcoka balomsebenzi yini kubale yanganani ngokuthi amaswati ete atawubonda nenkosi yayo. We're excited that we cannot wait for this day sive semaswati. So yes, sabe sikhulumisana naye kuva nje ukuthi vele umsebenzi sohamba kanganani. Ngakho nje sifiso kusesine 40 nyaro sesik 56 iminyaka seyihambile.
It's quite interesting iminyaka ukuthi gijima kangakanani, but also I think that is testament to His Majesty the King's great leadership, wisdom and grace, inspiring all of us as emaswati nje stabe sonke sikhuluma in unison sithi khula njalo tfole letinyathi bayithola maphakathi. Only 7 days. Everyone's excited. And if you're not, I'll shame on you. Ngizosese ngawe leyo.
Unenkinga lenkulu kade.
Kwasathi ukuthi sesitayithini sengeyakho. Only 7 days left. Bongosa sibahlole emarket sitawubuya sichubeke nehlelo.
Malangela mahle siyakhuleka kule lonke live ngahambi ngedvana ngihamba naye the fish Gorile, fish that wabafana. Unjalo mngani wami.
Hayi ngiphele saka mngani wami.
Hallelujah.
Ayitshele sima. Ngoba sihlelo selishintshele lungena ngabani?
Ishintshile mngani wami. Awukaboni.
Ungiboni.
Oh, Paul, ishintshile mngani wami.
Wena,
Yangena Saturday 4:30 4:30 malangeni lamasha. Yangena shela.
Bese luhlelo luphindwa ngalesine nga12:30. Yelele ade yours.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Maswati lamahle asiphindze sinamukele ehlelweni sethabele nati itindzaba tesiswati. Umhlonishwa Mvunankhulu Russell Dlamini uthi uhulumende uyachubeka nekwakha imigomo letawenta kutsi kube melula kukhanga abahlanyeli timali labasesifundzeni sakaSADC. Kanti-ke uthi nebase-Afrika kanye nangesheya kwetilwandle ukuvetela kumakhuluma emhlanganweni wahulumende nenhlangano yabosomabhizinisi labatimele iBusiness Eswatini emafini. Mvunankhulu uthi uhulumende utawutinaka-ke tinkampani letinkhulu letisesebente sikhatsi kuleli tasimamisa-ke nemnotfo welive.
We will put the right policies in place, which do not only include growing local business, but will also be effective in the attraction of large foreign direct investments. We have looked at what other countries have done in the region and beyond, and we are so ambitious that we want to do what they have done and even do more. The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade has been mandated to develop an ambitious investment policy. History has taught us that big companies that are high foreign earners, such as the one that Mr. Mhlanga here is leading, Mahlobo, thank you, is leading, sorry for that Mr. Mahlobo is leading, settled in the country because of the excellent reception by the government of the time, combined with a favorable investor climate at the time. It is therefore the intention of this government to improve our reception of foreign direct investment, engagement with large investors, and also improving substantially the ease of doing business in the country. In the same way, government will not ignore local companies that have been in the country for the longest of time and have played a significant role in the economy. And we therefore have strong and relevant programs to support local small, medium enterprises to grow and to thrive. It is important to acknowledge that our economy and population is small. That our economic growth strategies are appropriately designed.
Imvuna yetekwatisa nebuchwephesha umhlonishwa Savannah Maziya ithi emave lasentasi nelivekati le-Afrika kumele aqinise imithetho levikela kusebenta kwetebuchwephesha nale vikela ke imininingwane yesive isasebentisa tona tebuchwephesha. Imvuna beyimelelwe ngumabhalane lomkhulu etiko letekwatisa phesheya Dube emhlanganweni webalawuli betekuchumana elivekatini lesentasi ke ne-Afrika i-Communications Regulators Association of Southern Africa leyatiwa nge-CRASA. Lo mhlangano ubanjelwe ehotela lase Royal Villas eZulwini ngalesine.
Our regulators need to be ahead in developing regulatory frameworks for digital activities and in setting up standards with regulatory tools for online digital services and AI, among other things. These frameworks need to encompass a spectrum of objectives, including bolstering online safety, governing the handling and movement of data, fostering the ethical and safe progression of artificial intelligence, enhancing cybersecurity, and encouraging competition within digital markets. Governing the handling and movement of data, fostering the ethical and safe progression of artificial intelligence, enhancing cybersecurity, and encouraging competition within digital markets. The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini recognizes that speed of digital transformation backs modernizing our regulatory infrastructure for unlocking new efficiencies, addressing emerging challenges, and also promoting greater regulatory certainty for industry stakeholders. It is on this vein that the Ministry of ICT is engaged in the review of the National Digital Strategy to ensure a modern, cohesive and well-resourced regulatory framework that remains fit for the purpose in an increasingly interconnected and dynamic world.
Inkampani yetekuchumana i-MTN seyinikelele inhlangano yebuhle belizulu ngemaphayiphi emanti lalinganiselwa ke ku-100,000 emalangeni letawuzuza takhamuti tasezulwini leti ngema-30 wetinkulungwane 12,000. Kanti ke lobekamelele umphathi waka-MTN Sibusiso Nhleko uthi takhamuti setivele ticalile tiyawatfola emanti lokho ke lo msebenzi usengakapheli.
Sinikele ke MTN Foundation sanikele imali lenganga 100,000 ukuthi kuthengwe amaphayiphi ukuthi lesive sala ezulwini sikhona kuba nemanti. Kunesive ke imiti lenganga 2,485 lezuzako kulamanti lokho kusho ukuthi bantu bangetulu kwa 12,000 labatfola lamanti lapha ezulwini. Kuyinfo kodwa nje lenkulu kithi MTN Foundation ukuthi singafaka isandla lapha ezulwini ngoba nathi sitakhamuti empeleni lapha kulendzawo yasezulwini. Sibonga nje kakhulu lokubambisana lesikubonile nemidlandla lesubonile libandla lelisebenta lelibandla lebuhle belizulu lelilona lisebenza lamanti leliwendako. Sithi sitodvumisa nje namuhla kubonga lokuthi lo msebenzi so impumelelo.
Enoch Ndaba lolisekela lasihlalo enhlanganweni yebuhle belizulu uthi ke sikhulu kakhulu isidingo salamanti ngoba takhamuti tihamba sigamu lesitse kude ke tithole emanti etinsabeni ngoba kuya emfuleni nobe ke kuya emfuleni lo Sethutane.
Sikhulu kakhulu isidingo salamanti ngoba njengala sime khona nje lakalongalaza kude isource lenye yemanti funa lamanti asuke letule entsabeni asuka khona kuze sibawathole la vele bawadinge kakhulu leti zawo lena nje nalanga endasi kubheka boshakabili bogeleke kude lenye isource except labantu aqhamuka letule entsabeni if bangawatholi lawo khothi funa bayeka water ngoba kude umfula lokhona la.
Ikhomishane lephenya tinsolo tekungaphatheki kahle kwemafa ehhovisini lakaMaster likhala ngekwekuthi akucaci kahle ukuthi lelo hhovisi lisebenzisa yiphi indlela kwabalifa lebafati labasuka ke basesitsheni njengaloku kulesinye isikhathi lelibandla livele lijube ukuthi lokhu ke kwalazibani kodwa kulesinye isikhathi kuyaye kungacaci ukuthi lomunye womfati uyaye angatholi njani abe lomunye azuza. Lokhu ke kuvetwe ngikhomishane lijaji Thulisile Langwenya ngesikhathi igogo zodwa mahlalela lokhu umfati lomncane waloyo bekasikhulu sakalo Mahasha Malungeli Mahlalela akhala ngekungaphatheki kahle ehovisini lakaMaster eSteki. Usola sisebenzisa lelihovisi ngekukhetha tinhlangothi lapho athi lesisebenti sivumela konke lokushiwo ngumakela omkhulu wemufi. Gogo Zodwa wendele tinsolo ngesikhathi yavele embi kwakhomishana lephenya kungaphatheki kahle kwemafa ehovisini lakaMaster.
Uthi nakavele embi kwekhomishana lephenya tinsolo tekungaphatheki kahle kwemafa ehovisini lakaMaster, Gogo Zodwa Mahlalela ukhala ngekuthi lihovisi lakaMaster livala imali yesondlo lebekade ayitfola letinkulungwane letintsatfu. Uphindze wakhala nangetinkomo letinge-23 letisusiwe kulelihovisi egameni lakhe tabuyiselwe egameni lemufi.
Befanele sibona bangibide phela mina noma bangibhalele laba kaMaster bangitshele ukuthi make tinkomo setibuyele egameni laba abazali konke lokho bakwento toti lamuhla asisathi kusekuthi nguphi ngifike ngithele kulo mfana kaCulu angafundiswa nokungibuka nokungikhulumisa ngoba ngaze ngaya kulo Master mina lo phethe lo la imbabane ngoba ngimati na ingane bami ngayothi maye mina inkosi yami siyafa thine leli bandla leli khona labo Master abakho kude basitha ngakusukela kuhamba Master ngampu sagcina khona lapha noma bangasibida bafike labantu bangasikhulumisi kubhoka umsindo kulabantwana laba balekhala ababili baswinge khona lapha
Lisekela laMaster ehovisini laseSteki inkanyezi iziqulu lelisolwa kakhulu uGogo Zodwa Mahlalela uthi Mahlalela akakhuluma iqiniso ngaletinsolo takhe.
Kufuneka simsulele letinkomo nalendlunkulu itfole letinkomo ngoba umufi bekangushisi. Sayibhala ke thina lencwadi yokutisula letinkomo. Kwaqhamuka ke lo mndeni boThembelihle na first wife. Basichazela bona bathi hayi no sicela umhlangano sizokhulumisa lendzaba yaletinkomo ngoba ngekwati kwethu make akusito takhe letinkomo nalobabe wasendlunkulu asimati. Sawubita ke thina umndeni wakaMahlalela sayikhulumisa lendzaba. Wathi make yebo vele letinkomo akusito tami ngathi khanza. Satijikisa ke thina letinkomo. Emhlanganweni sababita bonke sayikhulumisa lendzaba.
Angathi ukuthi ngamenjani angathi ngoba noma sifika thina besihlelela le etimotweni ebaleni bathi uma bafika labo umnyango siyawuvulelwa ngabo baphange bona sebahleli ema-ofisi sineke sebakhona masina etimotweni siyohlala lapha labahleli khona bo.
Komishana langwenya lithi lihovisi lakaMaster halibe nendlela lefanako yekwabela abafati labasuke basesithenjini.
Itolo kusilala kude la concert mitspenje hayi kwala lapha yokhuluma no lapha imula phela manje lapha enhlanje inzaba yasenhlangeni inzaba letsite kwakazibani kwala bese kushintsha nini kubanini bese kuba nama-concert. What is the process? Master ulandzela yiphi indlela yokwelativa uma ngabe kunesifo nje kuhle abuye alomali ngabe atewukhomanda ngana kusayifuna letinkomo bona bobani labantu labathi atisito takhe
Labantwana honorable commission.
Ba-overrula le-spouse ba-overrula makhe.
Lifa lesikhulu lesingasekho emhlabeni lifaka ekhathi imali lengakadalulwa standi lesisethubungu titandi letimbili eSteki lesinye standi sesipiki letinye tinto tifaka ekhathi titolo letimbili tinkomo kanye netimotolo letintsatfu. Umufi lowashona ngeminyaka ka-2020 unebantwana laba-16 basitfupha bemfati lomdzala Thangithini bese baba yimfica bemfati lomncane longuGogo Zodwa. Etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla, nginaThemba Shabangu sisembabane.
Sekasondzele emalanga emhlangano lomkhulu wetinhlangano tekongane kwebolekisa kanti kulo mhlangano lona letinhlangano titawuthatha tincumo letitsinza kusebenta kwato kulokunye.
Lo walonyaka ke umsebenzi cishe ungumsebenzi loneligalelo lelisetulu la sibheke khona ukuthi tonke tinhlangano tite esibayeni lodge mhla ka 16 kuya ku 17 April 2024. Uyawuqala lo msebenzi nga-8 AM uye ku-4:30 onke lamalanga lamabili. Lo msebenzi-ke unesicubulo sawo lesitabe sikhuluma ngawo ukuthi sithuthukisa letinhlangano tekonga nekubolekisa kukhula kwato ngekusebentisa luhlelo lwabongcondvomshini nekukhutsata ukuthi titholakale tingleto letinamatsele ndawuthi ngeSiswati ngesingisi i-compliance letinamatsele emthethweni. Lo msebenzi lona-ke undvulela umhlangano lomkhulu lesiwubita ngekuthi i-AGM. So tinkhulumo lesitawuba nato titawusita ukuthi tigcine titende tincumo lesitawutitsatsa kulo mhlangano lomkhulu lotawuba khona-ke wona mhla ka-18 ngilapho la kutawube sesekutsatfwa khona letincumo.
Kutemidlalo inhlangano ledlalisa imidlalo yematubane kuleli ithi iyajabula sibili kuva ukuthi livese litawunikwa litfuba lokho ukuthi kule midlalo yema-Olympics alonyaka letawubanjelwa even le-France kube khona tingijimi letigijima limayela pheceleti ema-long distance running. Lokuyinkhomba-ke ukuthi imidlalo yematubane kuleli iyakhula ikakhulukati kuto tonke tigaba nato-ke tigaba letinze.
Inhlangano lengamele kudlalisa umdlalo wamatubane emhlabeni we-athletics ayivetile ukuthi livela kangwane linalo litfuba lokuthi lingaba netingijimi letigijima sigaba za-800 meters kanye nalabo labagijima emarathon letingakhona kutfola lithikithi likongenela imidlalo ema-Olympics alonyaka etawubanjelwa eveni lase-France. Lo mbiko ujabulise kakhulu inhlangano lengamele umdlalo wamatubane lapha evenue.
Ngiyasijabulisa lokho vele njengoba wathi ukuthi si-association through a relationship noma ke instruction from Sports Council and yoga where let us just expand lama opportunities ema athletes ethu lokufaka ekhathi middle and long distance running. So ke kusithokozisa kakhulu nawubuka naloko ukuthi after COVID-19 sibonile lokuthi everyone now shows interest yekuhosta competition yaka road running, which is an opportunity for our athletes to make sure ukuthi bayawasebenzisa lawo mathuba lawo ukuze batokhona kuthola amathuba nethi bangahamba bawomela live kuma big competitions like Olympics and Commonwealth Games. Siyajabula ke naloko for Paris 2024. Dawukhumbula ukuthi besiNembube marathon in October. 21 April we'll be having Ilubombo marathon. On the 28th of April, we'll be taking some athletes from the country. Labahamba represent Live ku Durban International Marathon under Southern Region Championships. So solo mathuba ke lawo lesicabanga ukuthi the performance yalama athletes from Lubombo Marathon and Durban International Marathon. Sicabanga ukuthi nawo ngilabanye labo ngabe sekubanikete amathuba ukuthi i-performance yabo ayibaniki lithuba lokuthi nabo babe part of le team lehambako for ema-Olympics in Paris ngoJuly.
Imidlalo ema-Olympics alonyaka bheka ukuthi iqale mhla ka-26 ngenyanga yaKholwane kude kube ngomhla ka-11 ngenyanga yeNgci kulomnyaka losetulu. Lobekela umsakati Swatini TV temidlalo ngilinda Dlamini kanzombiko uhlanganiswe nguFabrice Msonera eMbabane.
Sitephetsa kanjalo tindzaba tesiswati sibahlola ke emarket sitawubuya masinyane sichubeke nalo hlelo.
Wow, what a house. Maybe a little much for me though. Okay, this is probably more like what I can afford. Unless I could borrow the money to get something a little bigger. Perfect. But borrowing means that I could be in debt. And for a lot of people, that can be intimidating. But debt is really just a way of borrowing money with the promise of paying it back with interest. That sounds okay, right? Unless I would take out a big loan that I couldn't pay back. People take out loans all the time to buy houses, cars, to pay for school, all sorts of things. And it's not just people. Companies also borrow, and governments do it too. When a government borrows, it's called public debt or sovereign debt. Governments raise this money by issuing bonds and then selling them to the public with a guarantee that they'll pay them back. Just like people, countries need money to buy or build stuff that their income, mostly tax revenues, won't entirely pay for. Governments should invest their money wisely in things that help their citizens. Think of education or healthcare. Governments can also invest in things that will generate revenue or grow the economy, like infrastructure projects. Governments can also use the money to reduce taxes, or they can give it directly to its citizens who need the support. So, why are economists sometimes concerned by public debt? Well, for all the benefits that these funds can bring, there are also risks. Let's take two countries to demonstrate. Here's country A, and here's country B. Now, let's say both of them have borrowed roughly the same amount of money at roughly the same time. But looking closer, we can see they have very different economies, notably in size, measured by their gross domestic product, or GDP. Let's look at their debt levels again, but this time as a percentage of their GDP. And wow, you see the difference? Same debt, but very different outcomes. Countries are able to manage their debt when they borrow a reasonable amount relative to their ability to pay it. Country A's economy is big enough to pay the interest on the debt. If country B cannot pay things back, well, it gets harder to convince investors to lend you more money. And that is scary because it only gets harder from there. If an economic crisis hits, one of these guys will have the funds they need to respond. The other is going to need some help. The trick here is for governments, like country B, to invest the money they borrow wisely, which can help keep debt manageable. So, where does that leave me in my new house? Well, first, I need to adjust my own budget. I don't need that. You're gone. Definitely gone. And second, debt isn't about living beyond my means. It's about borrowing a reasonable amount relative to my ability to pay it, even if I do splurge every now and again.
Ujala masoda mahle kunathi lesa.
Sabadali ukuthi njengalokhu
sivile sive sithi khulume.
Hi, I'm Golda. I work here at the IMF. Our aim is to provide the best possible advice on economic policy to our member countries, helping them to create conditions so everyone prospers from economic growth. One question our economists are always getting: how can we reduce poverty and foster inclusive growth? There are a few ways to think about it. Some say the government should be heavily involved in the economy, with regulations to keep people safe and high taxes that fund and support a healthy, well-educated and inclusive society, even if it's at the expense of higher growth. Others believe that the government should have little or no part to play in the economy. Lower taxation means more money in everyone's pockets. More individual freedom, they say, means more economic growth overall. But maybe there's a target we all could be shooting for: the best policies on inclusion and growth. Essentially, inclusive growth is about making the economic pie bigger and sharing those slices more widely. So, how do we get there? by aiming for a middle ground. Both sides mostly recognize the need for social safety nets, public pensions, unemployment insurance, food programs. These measures prevent extreme poverty and provide a basic standard of living. At the IMF, inclusive growth is central to our work because reducing poverty is in everyone's interest. Part of having a free and equitable society is ensuring we all benefit from its growth, no matter who we are. And it's not just about creating a fair and equal chance to succeed for individuals, regions, or countries. It's about distributing growth fairly for future generations too. Overall, inclusive growth is based on the idea that wealth creation, economic freedom, and equal opportunity can and should coexist.
Asimze sinemukele serobukela hlelo kusile breakfast show ngilesihlanu sithe kadona tindzaba letimnanzi njengoba ukuthi 19th April it is the king's birthday sisele nje malanga la sikhombisa kuphela ukuthi sifike kulolu langa lelisuku kakhulu kangaka lonyaka ke king's birthday tabe celebrate khona eMankayane edolobheni siselozi nje sicocisana naye lana Mlambo Dlamini sifuna kuvuka ukuthi ngabe malungiselelo ahamba kanjani nivuna ke yahlangana nama stakeholders kuleli viki yaphinza yahlangana nama-traditional leaders kuvuka ukuthi umsebenzi uchubeka kanjani kangangoba nje indvuna yakhona eMankayane kuyobona ukuthi vele umsebenzi uhamba kanjani njengoba nje sekusele amalanga lasikhombisa sifuna kuvala komlambo ukuthi umsebenzi longaka ubaleka kanganani kubaleka kanganani ukuthi sibe samaswati sihlangane nenkhosi ingwenyama umswati wesithathu sito celebrate lelanga lelemcoka nakangaka nkhosi yasikuvusele nomhlekuseni siyabonga ukuthi ube nathi lo mhla ekuseni sele nje amalanga lasikhombisa nkosi ukuthi sive siyobonda nenkosi yaso kumbe kusibisele emuva nje singakabuke nje malungiselelo okucala kumbe kusibisele emuva nje to the very first celebration of the double celebration ngakumula kwangathi kwacala i4040 but I'm correct nkosi mangabe angashaye khona when was the first celebration a double celebration King's birthday kanye neindependence yelive kusichazela nje usinikeze isithombe ukuthi kwakunjani bumcoka vele balomsebenzi unganani
ngaqala ngekuvusela Thombeni sivusele nakuye umlaleli ekhaya sibonge naleli thuba kuthi lamhla sibe khona ehlelweni sitovusela sive ikakhulu ngana ngumsebenzi lomkhulu lodako lotabu khona kuMankayane lapho inkosi ibusise kuthi lo msebenzi awuvele ube khona ephase region yakaManzini Thombeni lolo itekako i-double celebration uqala kuyibona siyibone nga4040 lapho yayikhona umsebenzi wawumuhle kakhulu kepha ngaqala kubuyela emuva nje njengaloku lona umsebenzi evele ubuke yona ingonyama sihalalisela yena umlisa inkosi Mswati wesithathu leyahlala esihlalweni mhla ka25 April 1986 kwase kuthi khona lapho i-celebration leqala leyaba khona yaba 19 April 1987 lapho khona ukhumbule ukuthi kwase kuneminyaka lapho livela lingasahlangani khona ligubhe lomkhosi lomkhulu kangaka emva kokuthi ukhothame yona inkosi Sobhuza wesibili loyo msebenzi ke Thombeni waba muhle kakhulu 86 noma ngangisemncane nje kepha ngiyakhumbula kaSomhlolo kuthi kwakugqwele stadium sijabulile kwakunyathelwana kwakukuhle kakhulu nangakhumbula nje kwakukhona nanakwabo Globe of Dance bantu ebendlula nasemililweni kwakukuhle nje impela Thombeni leso sithombe thine lesakhona kuthi sisipopole namanje sisehleli Thombeni. Yachubeka ke iminyaka solo iba khona kwase kuthi sesihle sibake nalama double celebrations every 5 years lapho khona uthole kuthi kuhlanganiswe wona umkhosi wengonyama nandiphethe lomunye nje sisuka kiwo nyakenye lapho khona bese senda 55 nalonyaka ke kona siyasho ukuthi live nga 6 September litabe nalo lithi 56 kanye nengonyama yethu inkosi Mswati wesithathu ngelesihlanu lesiya kuye itabe yithi 56 lesinye isikhathi singemaswati siyadibuta ukuthi kwayangani ukuthi ingonyama nandiphethe konke kwenteke ngesikhathi sinye kepha uyalibona ukuthi nembala lihlelo laNkulunkulu lelo Thombeni.
Yankosi, I think lokho sosinike nje lomlomba vele sekuyabonakala vele ukuthi vele leli kuba langa lelikhulu ngakho ke kubalekile ukuthi vele sive samaswati siphume sihlangane nayo inkosi. Ngabe kubala umcawa kangakanani vele nomsebenzi lona ukuthi vele sive samaswati sihlangane sitobonda nenkosi.
Thombeni khumbula ukuthi uma kunale umcimbi lomkhulu kangaka kweqala nje kubese kuba le holiday event lapho wonke umuntu sonke sive semaswati sishiya phasi ematoweni sibhekane nalomcimbi kuyawuhlangana live lonke libenza wonye libungade lomsebenzi noma lihalalisele yona ingonyama. Umcoko ke lomsebenzi Thombeni ngoba uhlanganisa sive kuthi sibe munye uphindze ube mcoko lomsebenzi ngoba lenkosi iphuma iyele sive njengaloku nje sikaManzini inkosi yakaManzini inkosi yakaMankayane thine bembabane silenge muva silandzela lengemuva sipheletela Manzini lapho inkosi itabe ilalela Manzini ukuthi kaManzini kwentekani kaManzini bakhala ngani kaManzini ma developments lese endekile yonke leminyaka sesihambe sefikaphi konke lokho Thombeni ngilokwenta ukuthi lelanga leli uthole ukuthi limcoka kakhulu kithi singemaswati nakona ke ukuthi kuphinze sibuke njengaloku nemidlalo lotawuthola ukuthi iba khona lena midlalo letabentiwa ngilamaswati lama cultural activities tibhaca ilokhwanja uma ke luthango imbali ngilesive sakhona kaManzini sakuMankayane lokusho ukuthi sesiyabona awu nembala Mankayane vele solo ubambe lonke live likubambile Thombeni.
Kunjalo Nkosi ngifuna singene ke nyalo Dlamini kuyele logo I think ngayibona nani launch officially nani poster ku ma social media pages eno I think ngifuna singene nje kulama elements ale logo kuvela ukuthi vela signify ini siyayibona nayo lapha ngephansi ukuthi kunale command ingonyama ilethi ngwe ngabe nje kusichazela Nkosi ukuthi ni incorporate kanjani nifike kanjani kwakhoweni kwale logo nibukeni nabuka ini nashiya ini.
Ngibonge kakhulu Thombeni. Ilogo noto i-designer vele ucabanga ubuke live ukuthi live limephi libhekephi kucale kube nalelibhubesi libhubesi ke sonke siyalathi ukuthi likhomba ipower likhombe strength njengaloku sathi nakhona endle lapho uthola ukuthi itilwane lihlala khona baye bathi ngesilungu king of the jungle kude silwane nasekuthiwa nje lilambile kude lisilwane lelingasidli linemandla lamadima ne leadership yalo ke libhubesi ngoba lapho likhona khona wonke umuntu uba safe Thombeni. Wonke umuntu uba safe lapho likhona khona libhubesi noma lapho khona khona elibhubesi donke letilwane uthola ukuthi tiyathi thina sikhoselela kilo vele sivikelekile ngaso sonke isikhathi. So lokhu kwecala nje lesikubukile lapho kwase ke kuba nalama colors la gold lothola ukuthi wona vele a representa umcebo umnotho livela kangwane ke liyakhula ngetemnotho nawubuka i-infrastructure ubuka uhamba lonke live lamuhla Thombeni ugibela ku freeway usuka eNgwenya border uze uyawufika elokho esikhuphe airport solo uhamba eButhebelele lokunye lokukhomba ukuthi live liyathuthuka nakuthuthuka le infrastructure kanjalo netemnotho delive nemabhizinisi ubuka lapha nalapha ayakhula uva ingonyama thi awuseyibuyile ngesheya nakhona nayibuya sive ukuthi nembala emabhizinisi ibuya nawo live lathuthuka temnotho tiyakhula kungako sibukile ke nayo ukuthi khale color gold ayibe khona lapho besini uze noma kuyo yonke lokho nje itawukhomba ukuthi nembala live eliyakhula kutemnotho kube ke nalama olive branches sikhathi esiningi lama olive branches akhomba ipeace and harmony siyatiwa ke mhlaba wonke ngekuthula eThombeni ukuthi live lithulile live lelinengosi njengaloku ngibekisile ecaleni ukuthi la kulelibhubesi khona libusa khona vele kuba nekuthula donke letilwane letiphila lapho tisuke tati ukuthi thine sikhosele nakukhona lokusihluphako uphakama lona kucala nakithi ke eveni kukanjalo Thombeni lapho khona sisive semaswati sikhosele phase Ngonyama konke lesikwendako bengiye ngithi nje nami nangile ngaphandle emaveni basi nababuta wena wakuphi kwakulula ukuthi mina ngisuke eSwatini ngibuswa inkosi wawuthi uyeva letinye tive uve ukuthi hayi abafuni ukusho lamave abo lokusho ukuthi ngile pride lesinayo ukuthi vele si7 sivikelekile inkosi bese Thombeni kuba nale command eyangwe ingonyama le ikhiphe sibayeni nyakenye ukuthi lonke live alisukume ligijime solo ke sonke sime lapho kuleyo command ukuthi asigijime silwe nabo phuya silethe iservice khona esiveni.
No, ngiyavakala Nkosi. Ngifuna kubuta nje Dlamini ukuthi ngalokho vele uma kutoba nemsebenzi lomkhulu kangaka especially lona nje weNgwenyama vele kuba khona lokubambisana kuba khona lokusebenzisana sifuna ukuvake ukuthi ngabe vele mhlambe inzima ledlalwa abo babetikhulu emiphakathini kolomsebenzi omkhulu nakangaka kuba yini ngoba siyibone indvuna ihlangane nabo boba betikhulu kube khona lokho ukukhulumisana kuvakala lokuthi vele kushodani umsebenzi uhamba kanganani kuba yini inzima boba betikhulu labayidlala kulomsebenzi weNgonyama.
Thombeni ngitawubuyela emuva umsebenzi lofana nalona bowato tikhulu boba betikhulu nebantu abengosi uhulumende ufika muva ulandzela ngemuva uma inkosi inemsebenzi longaka wekudala kusuke kutelelo letikhulu kungako lo msebenzi uba wato boba betikhulu ke umsebenzi nebantu abengosi banemsebenzi lomkhulu eThombeni ngoba bona emandla enkosi ehlela kibo, and they act as advisory role njengalo ngichazile ukuthi ngumsebenzi wabo. Thina singihulumende silalela bobaba etikhulu ukuthi bathi manje asende ini excuse siyende kanjani. Ngaphandle ke kwako ku advisor bobaba etikhulu baphinze uthola ukuthi bamobilize i-community. Ngibo labakhona ihlanganisa lesive le emiphakathini kukhulunywe ukuthi angabe njengaloku inkosi italana senda njani kulokunye leminye imiphakathi ilungise nekhunga ingonyama njengalokwati ethombeni ngokuthi nakunemsebenzi omkhulu kangaka uthola ukuthi nani nje lekhaya babese bakhunga nengonyama ke yakhungwa ukuthi awu nembala siyayibongela ukuthi izikhule ifike kulamalanga lengaka uNkulunkulu asayiphe wona ngoba kukhula kwengonyama kusho iprogress kusho ukuphumelela kwelive kusho i-richness yelive ngoba ne-development ivele isukume ngematubane njengalokubona even kulokunye bobaba etikhulu ngibona lothola ukuthi basisita nange-protocol ngoba bayayadi ngichazile ukuthi emandla enkosi ehlele etikhulwini le nhlonipho leyenteka lebhekeke enkosini sisaya ngimangaya nesaka amanzini ngile nhlonipho lebo babetikhulu bayifundzisa lemakhaya nathi sifika singihulumende sicamuke embabane silalela bona bobabetikhulu ukuthi bathi na ukhuluma nenkosi ukhuluma kanjani na wendela inkosi wenda kanjani so tonke lento leto thombeni uthola ukuthi ngiwo umsebenzi wabo bobabetikhulu ngingagcina nje ngekuthi phinze ba actor as a representatives they represent the community go onke ama meetings la khona njengaloku ubonile ukuthi indvuna umntana enkosi lindiwe abehlangene nato tikhulu ukuthi bobaba etikhulu nebantu abenkosi kuthandi nakhona abeyothathisa noma yowuva ukuthi bobaba etikhulu sebahambe kanganani kulungiseleni lo msebenzi ngoba ngewabo.
Okay. No ngifuna singene kenyalo ngikhosi kulomcimbi nje la ngekhathi khosi yesibona ukuthi kuba nalama activities kuba nama performances lahlukene ngiyabona la wesilumbi lemililo nje lokhulume ngayo but ngifuna ngene nginaye nama cultural dances I think wathinta kancane nje ngifuna singene nje lobomxolo ukuthi vele kubo khona ibe khona le cultural aspect yalo msebenzi ukuthi be nabo make belithango kube nalaba gita sibhaca netinfombi imbali ingabe nako lokho kuletha sindvula singanani nje kulo mcimbi lomkhulu kangaka
silivela kangwane ethombeni ngona lokho lesitigabatisa ngawo ubuve bethu i-identity yethu ungawuhamba wonke umhlaba kude labanale lesinako thina so vele kumqoka ukuthi nasihlangene silive uthole ukuthi lawo ma activities awasali ngoba aphinze njengalokho sesibukelwa uthole ukuthi babukela nabo eMelika nakuphi kuphi nabo bayabuka ukuthi awu eMaswati endani labanye uthola ukuthi sebafuna nekopa loko lothola ukuthi siyakwenda nalokunye ke uthola ukuthi ezi njengalo ngibekisa ukuthi siya kuMankayane uyathola ukuthi nentsha yakuMankayane lenye bese uthola ukuthi seyidlalela khashane netibhaca nase basibona lesibhaca babona lobuhle bayo babona lolithango lobuhle nathi singiMankayane asimncinyana bayakhuthateka thombeni netikolwa tiyakhuthateka letitutane ukuthi nembala akungabese nje sekucinwa kuma-majority letenebelungu sinako kwethu asicine ikakhulu kuloku kwethu kwebelungu kutase kuyalandzela Thombeni.
Yeah, kunjalo Nkosi. Ngibona sesibuka nje nasibuka nje luhlangothi lwentuthuko nje emankayane ngalokho sivele baningi labatawuzuza basomabhizinisi nabo batabe bakanexile lapha abathengisa imikhicido yabo lidolobha nje lasemankayane nje in a whole tawuthuthuka ngibona singabuka nje lentuthuko vele letana lomsebenzi weKing's Birthday.
Thombeni umsebenzi lomkhulu kangaka awudi mahhala. Ngikhuluma nje kunemgwaco lolosuka lapha eMalkens uyohlangana lapha eSeclini lapha kubolokhu ngiyayikhohlwa lendzawo uyalungiswa loyo mgwaco ngilenye intuthuko letanawo lapha estadium lapho sikhona khona nakhona nasifika itolo bongaboni ukuthi angabe stadium kutawusebenza nyalo stadium sigradiwe sesileveliwe sekude noma sesihambile bayothi laba usala bakhahlela ibhola impela batawukhahlela sekude kusi sota uhamba ucumukela njengaloku sikhanzile ngibuye kukhona le bridge leliwelela la stadium lelo bridge bekungitebetebe nangicala nami ukuhamba ngajika ngathi engcono ngiyohamba ngemgwaco ngoba ngaze ngishobele lamfuleni lamhla sikhuluma kunel bridge lel permanent and high quality bridge lobonako ukuthi litamhlala over 100 years so ngileminye ilokhwanja ama developments la khona kungasiko ke lokho kuphela Thombeni njengaloku kutalo umsebenzi now umsebenzi lo njena nema tourist ayeta naketa ima tourist lamanye atafike abuke nema business opportunities abuye ataw investor kuleyo ndzawo labanye nebantu bakhona kuleyo ndzawo ngalomsebenzi batabe bathengisa labanye bathengisa emafeti labanye bathengisa lokwa nalokwa laba kwakha ngetandla kuba ne-economic activity nje leningi ngaphandle nje kwamankayane kuphela nelive lonke ngoba labanye batabe benta imiswenko bathungisa khona lakithi labanye benta tingalo njengaloku nenduna ichazile konke lokho kuyi-economic activity le uthola ukuthi live egcineni kuyalibenefita Thombeni.
Okay. Mhlawumbe kuva nje Nkosi but nje lokusolo nguvu khuluma vele kuvakala kwangathi vele ama preparations vele sasezingeni elisetulu kubuda nje dlamini ukuthi ingabe sive mhlawumbe lesifisile naso kuba ingcenye yalo msebenzi lesuka khashana kukhona mhlawumbe imetamo lento ngohulumende noma ke litiko kuzama kubahlangabeta mhlawumbe tabanalawo mabhasi noma ke Nkosi nisayibukele le nisayikhulumisa nilitiko kutawa khona yini labo bo transport
Thombeni siltiko singihulumende thina sahlala silungele njengaloku ngingachaza ukuthi ngumsebenzi wabo babetikhulu bantu abenkosi batawuphinze ba-advise litiko ukuthi kumankayane kukhona laba phasenzaba kukhona laba kuphi manzini mukhulu njengasiloku sathi ukuthi manzini ngilona region lenkulu even lokusho ukuthi vele sitawuva i-advise ukuthi ithini then silitiko bese siyakuprovide lokho lokufanele.
Okay. No, ngevakala Nkosi ngibukele sokuthi vele amalungiselelo King's Birthday ahamba kahle kakhulu njengoba livetile litiko ukuthi sekafike ku 80% lasho kona ukuthi vele sekutawufika emaphethelweni asibahle ukuthi market siyabuya khona manje.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
Ujala masada mahle kunathi lesa.
Sabathandi ukuthi njengalokhu sifile sive sithi khulumeni.
Asimza sinimukele sesivala nje interview kanti kumele ukuthi umlangeni lapha amemesive sonke semaswati ukuthi sibe ingcenye yemkhosi lomkhulu umhla ka-19 April. Dlamini sive sonkana semaswati samukelekile mosivele kulomsebenzi.
Awuthombeni ngumsebenzi wawo emaswati lona. Sesingaba nje kwengeda ngimeme wona emaswati ikakhulu sive sakumankayane sive sakumanzini region kuthi lona ngumsebenzi wabo inkosi idekibo abayithathe lo opportunity basonzele batibonele inkosi Dudane nenkosi Itabe ikhonela bona siyabonga
sive nje sibe sesihleli ngabanzi khathi nje kusukela ekseni.
Thombeni sitayithola ilokhwanja iupdate ezemalanga eta ukuthi sibheke ke ukuthi sibe sihleli ngabo bantu ikhathi njengalokhu diningtingi number lesisatibuka netimo esimo selitulu nalokwa kepha ke kutasina kusonzele emalanga sitase siyasho ukuthi sive ngalesikhathi lesi kufuneka sibe sihleli phansi.
Ngiyavakala sibakhulu inkosi mbukele sokuthi vele kutaba kungumsebenzi lomkhulu kugutshwa ke double celebration King's birthday mhla ka-19 April 56th King's birthday. Asithathe likhefu sabuya khona manje.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Ujala masada mahle kunathi lesa.
Sabathandi ukuthi njengalokhu sifile sive sithi khulumeni.
Are you ready to own your future? Boto University Eswatini campus is proud to announce a golden opportunity for aspiring students.
I am more convinced that this is the best university on the face of the planet.
Boto University Eswatini is fully registered and accredited by Eswatini Higher Education Council and has opened doors to offer enrollment for government-sponsored students. At Boto University, we believe in empowering minds, nurturing talents, and shaping the architects of a future prosperous Eswatini.
We produce quality graduates who propagate the growth and development of our region.
With our world-class faculty and cutting-edge resources with international partnership and student exchange program, you'll receive an education that goes beyond textbooks. Boto University offers a 4-year bachelor's degree in business, accounting, computing, mobile computing and network security and computer forensics, as well as health information management.
Boto University.
Vibrance. Innovation.
Impact.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a look at international news this morning. Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump faces multiple criminal charges in a hush money payment case in New York City. After several attempts by the former president's lawyers to delay the trial, it is scheduled to begin April 15th.
Donald Trump is forced to leave the presidential campaign trail and take a seat in the courtroom yet again. The former president faces criminal charges related to a $130,000 payment from his attorney Michael Cohen to a former porn star Stormy Daniels shortly before the 2016 election. The prosecutors argue the payment was made to silence her about an alleged sexual encounter with Trump, who was married at the time. He is accused of falsely categorizing these payments as legal expenses in his financial reports.
Under New York State law, it is a felony to falsify business records with intent to defraud and an intent to conceal another crime. That is exactly what this case is about. 34 false statements made to cover up other crimes. These are felony crimes in New York State, no matter who you are.
Trump has pleaded not guilty to all charges and claims this is a politically motivated case.
It's a shame. It's a shame what's happening to our country. This is election interference. They are doing things that have never been done in this country before.
Trump's return to the courtroom has stirred fresh debate among New Yorkers, with opinions sharply divided on the upcoming trial.
President Trump is a citizen just like everyone else, or a resident just like everyone else in the United States. He's subject to the same laws and responsibilities as we all are.
Actually, nobody else would have been charged. It's only Trump that's getting charged for something that never happened.
Former New York City prosecutor Bernarda Villalona says Trump faces 34 counts of falsifying business records.
He faces a maximum of 4 years in jail per count. But also, there's no mandatory minimums. Will he go to jail here in New York State? I highly doubt it, that even with going to trial, that a judge will sentence him to jail.
New York University law professor Richard Pildes says this trial is historic.
It's certainly unprecedented in American history for a former president to be criminally prosecuted. There have been prosecutions, successful criminal prosecutions in some countries of former prime ministers. So it's not unprecedented in a kind of a global perspective, but certainly in the United States, we've never been in a situation like this before.
As the former president mounts his defense against these charges, observers watch and await the outcome.
The United States and Japan celebrated their decades-long alliance on Wednesday night as Presidents Joe Biden hosts Prime Minister Fumio Kishida at the White House for a state dinner. The Japanese leader's visit marks a significant strengthening in defense and technology ties.
President Joe Biden rolled out his diplomatic red carpet for Prime Minister Fumio Kishida of Japan, calling him a visionary and courageous leader in Asia and beyond.
When Russia began its brutal invasion of Ukraine 2 years ago, he did not hesitate to condemn, sanction, and isolate Russia and provide billions in assistance to Ukraine.
The leaders unveiled new initiatives, including a joint lunar mission, investment in semiconductors and clean energy, and research on quantum computing and artificial intelligence. But the strongest focus is on military deterrence, enhancing cooperation not only in the South China Sea, but also in the air.
For the first time, Japan and the United States and Australia will create a network system of air, missile, and defense architecture.
There will be an upgrade of command and control of American and Japanese soldiers, increasing force interoperability. With ramped-up defense spending and high-tech capacity, Tokyo is a key player in Biden's regional strategic architecture to deter China. Japan is set to begin supporting the AUKUS partnership between the U.S., Australia, and the United Kingdom, said Kishida.
For Japan to have a direct cooperation with AUKUS, nothing has been decided at this moment. Going forward with U.S., UK, or with Australia, with such countries in bilateral or multilateral frameworks, we will continue cooperation.
Biden and Kishida will expand their meeting into a trilateral summit Thursday, adding Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., another U.S. ally. That meeting will focus on freedom of navigation as tensions in the South China Sea ramp up between Beijing and Manila. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said the U.S. move stoke confrontation.
No external intervention will affect China's will and determination to safeguard its territorial sovereignty and maritime rights and interests.
Kishida also came to the defense of Washington's cherry blossom trees, offering to replace the hundreds that must be removed due to construction. The Japanese government gifted the original 3,000 in 1912, delighting Washington tourists each spring. Wednesday evening, the U.S. president hosts a state dinner for Kishida, the fifth foreign leader provided with the honor since Biden took office.
British Foreign Secretary David Cameron met with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Washington to help push for a new aid package for Ukraine.
Russia has renewed its missile and drone attacks on Ukraine's second-largest city, Kharkiv, like this one on Sunday that left 4 people injured. At this critical point in the war, British Foreign Secretary David Cameron traveled to Washington to meet with Secretary of State Antony Blinken and to appeal to Republican lawmakers to stop blocking U.S. military aid to Ukraine. Cameron said he can get very emotional about it.
There will be people in Tehran, in Pyongyang, in Beijing, looking at how we stand by our allies, how we help them, how we stop this illegal and unprovoked aggression, and working out whether we are committed, whether we're prepared to see it through. So I'm here to offer my opinion, to meet with anyone who wants to talk to me about it, to make those arguments.
For his part, Blinken called on Republican leaders in Congress to bring Ukraine aid to a vote as soon as possible, pointing out that the U.S. has been sharing the burden with its allies on the war effort.
The United States has done extraordinary things for Ukraine. Our European partners and others beyond Europe, around the world, have done even more over the last 2 years. Military support, economic support, humanitarian support. So there's genuine burden sharing and carrying the load. We need to continue to do our part.
Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson has refused to call a vote in the lower chamber on new security funds, including $60 billion in aid for Ukraine. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has threatened to unseat Johnson if he allows a vote on aid. Cameron acknowledged that he met with Trump Monday in Florida, calling it a private meeting and declining to give any details. He said it was proper and in line with precedent for a visiting diplomat to meet with the top opposition leader. One expert told VOA that Trump has a powerful hold on how Republicans in Congress vote, including on critical foreign policy questions.
I think he is the key figure. If he would signal that the aid should go forward, I think resistance would melt away among the few dozen Republicans who are actively resisting the provision of aid to Ukraine.
Kimmage told VOA that he was reminded of personal overtures to Trump by French President Emmanuel Macron and others, saying that private, personal meetings are more effective at getting a message across to him than public lectures.
6 months into the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, Israel is at crossroads. Israeli forces have not been able to eradicate Hamas or free the remaining hostages, and some analysts say the war could escalate further.
Israeli media reports say Israel will buy 40,000 tents to evacuate Palestinians from Rafah ahead of a planned ground invasion. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this week said that Israel has a date for an invasion of Rafah in southern Gaza. Israeli analysts say that even without an invasion of Rafah, the 6-month-old war with Hamas is at a crossroads.
It can be escalation to a regional war because of Iran, because of Hezbollah, and it will move from Gaza to the north, from a limited war in Gaza to a regional war, and it can then escalate towards a process that will de-escalate the war and will fix some of the problems. And we're really facing crucial days, maybe a week.
Both Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon are proxies of Iran, and Yadlin says tensions with Iran have recently skyrocketed since Israeli strikes killed a senior Iranian general in Damascus last month.
Israel was very careful not to target Iranians. Since the 7th and the 8th of October, when Iran launched its proxies against Israel, from Lebanon, from Syria, from Yemen, from Iraq, Israel changed the policy. And in this case, it seems like a big hit to Iran.
Israel has also come under growing international criticism for the worsening humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The UN says more than a quarter of Gaza's population is on the verge of starvation. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights told the BBC that there is plausible evidence that Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war in Gaza.
The collective punishment that was declared with the siege is indeed amounts to a war crime, and it needs to be dealt as such.
Israel says the problem is distribution of aid and says it is not responsible.
So there's enough supplies going in. Where the problem lies is in the picking up the goods that are delivered and distributing them. So that is a very central bottleneck that we're seeing. And I think that here we need to ask where the UN organizations are, where the civil society organizations are, where are the people that need to distribute these goods?
Egypt has been hosting indirect talks between Israel and Hamas for a ceasefire and hostage release amid conflicting views on their chances for success.
The White House blames militant group Hamas for the failure to reach a ceasefire with Israel before the end of Ramadan as Washington prepares for a high-level meeting on Israel's plans to invade Rafah and faces lingering questions over the killing of aid workers by Israeli forces.
The White House says that Israel is ready for a ceasefire after 6 months of brutal fighting, but that Hamas leadership is unwilling to meet Israel's terms and release some of the hostages seized during the October 7th attack on Israel, which provoked an Israeli military campaign that has flattened much of Gaza.
There could be a ceasefire in place today that would extend for several weeks to be built upon longer if Hamas would be prepared to release some of those people. So let's train the attention where it belongs, which is that the world should say at this moment to Hamas, it's time. Let's go. Let's get that ceasefire. We're ready. I believe Israel is ready.
Family members of some of the American hostages met with White House officials Tuesday to press for their return.
What we have heard is that there is a deal on the table right now that all of the parties agree to and are willing to work with. We are waiting now, and the world waits for Hamas to get to yes. It is in their court.
The Biden administration began calling for a ceasefire a month ago, but not all Israelis want one. On Monday, this group marched near the Gaza border to demand the opposite.
Instead of telling the international community to place pressure on Hamas to release the hostages, they're placing pressure on Netanyahu and our government. We didn't start the war, they did, okay? They murdered 1,200 of our people.
And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also seems determined to press forward with plans to attack the southern city of Rafah over Washington's objections.
We will complete the elimination of the Hamas battalions, including in Rafah. There is no force in the world that will stop us. There are many factors trying to do this, but it will not help because this enemy, after what he has done, will not do it again.
Analysts say U.S.-led diplomacy is critical to ending this conflict and warn that Hamas, which has deep roots in the region and strong ties to Iran, is a formidable foe whose appeal may be growing in the face of Israel's assault on Gaza and on Iran-supported groups in the region.
It remains to have tremendous popularity currently across the region, which is very disconcerting as well, because this is a form of radicalization that the United States and its allies should be concerned about.
But as Israeli bombs rained down Tuesday, not on Gaza but into neighboring Lebanon, the prospect of peace feels very far away.
Turkey has announced trade restrictions with Israel, and Turkish Airlines has suspended flights to the country because of the war in Gaza. The moves come as Turkish President Recep Erdogan reverses rapprochement efforts that were unpopular among voters.
Turkish Airlines announced that it will not resume flights to Israel until next year. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan announced sanctions on Israel on April the 8th that include a ban on steel and cement exports. Analysts say Turkey's moves are the result of growing criticism of Erdogan's ruling AK party for maintaining trade relations with Israel despite the war.
You have all these AKP-related businesses or AKP politicians very closely, intimately trading with Israel and stuff. They had to respond somewhat. They had to show that they were doing something. And the best, most effective, and most visible way of doing it would be to suspend Turkish Airlines flights.
Last month, Erdogan's AK party suffered its worst electoral defeat in nationwide local elections. The Islamist Yeniden Refah party focuses campaign on condemning the Turkish president for continuing to trade with Israel. Fatih Erbakan leads the party. His father was Erdogan's political mentor. But analysts say Erbakan poses a serious threat to the religious base of Erdogan's AK party.
I think sort of the end is near for AKP, but I guess it will be replaced by the Yeniden Refah Partisi.
Protests have continued against trade with the Jewish state. Israeli analysts say they come at a bad time because trade and people-to-people contact are vital to maintaining bilateral ties in times of diplomatic tension.
So there were things that kept the relations going, even though the political relations were in crisis. And one element was the economic relations. And part of this was also the travel connections and the transport connections between Turkey and Israel, and the fact that people-to-people relations were enabled.
Even in 2010, when Israeli forces killed 10 Turkish citizens delivering aid by ship to Gaza, flights and trade between the countries were unaffected. But analysts say the magnitude of the humanitarian crisis means things are different this time.
People are watching live, and this is truly unconscionable. And that's why, and you know, the level of protest on this particular issue of trading with Israel has increased as the devastation became even worse.
With Israeli forces poised to launch a new offensive in southern Gaza, protests against Turkish trade with Israel are expected to grow, adding further pressure on.
President Joe Biden on Monday announced a $6.6 billion grant to Taiwan's top chip manufacturer for semiconductor manufacturing in Arizona, which includes a third facility that will bring the tech giant's investment in the state to $65 billion.
A single semiconductor transistor is smaller than a grain of sand, but billions of them, patched neatly together on a chip, can connect the world, control weapons of war, and someday even drive your car. But U.S. production of this American-born technology has fallen off in recent decades.
As a nation, we used to produce 40% microchips for the whole world. Now we are producing less than 10%.
But on Monday, the Biden administration announced $6.6 billion in funding for the world's top chip maker to build a third facility in the state of Arizona. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company says it will put the U.S. on track to produce 20% of the world's leading-edge semiconductors by the end of the decade. The funding comes from the bipartisan 2022 CHIPS and Science Act, which President Joe Biden highlighted that year in a visit to TSMC's first Arizona facility.
American manufacturing is back, folks. American manufacturing is back.
Engineers say the legislation addresses a key weakness in American chip manufacturing.
We've just gotten in this cycle of the last 15 to 20 years where innovation has slowed down. It's all about financial results, investor payouts and stock buybacks. And we've lost that innovation muscle. And the CHIPS Act, pulling that together with the CHIPS Act is the perfect opportunity to restore that.
But they say America urgently needs talent. The White House says this new investment could create 25,000 construction and manufacturing jobs. Are there enough workers to feed this need?
Our engineering college is the largest in the country with over 33,000 enrolled students. And still, we're hearing from companies across the semiconductor industry that they're not able to get the talent that they need in time.
TSMC in 2022 broke ground on a facility that makes some of the world's most advanced chips. With each jump, chip production can get more and more complex and expensive. Can the country that made the mighty chip keep up? Biden's betting on it.
It's 21 minutes after 7, and that's it for international news. Thank you for staying with us. After the break, we focus on World Book Day.
If you can dream it, you can definitely achieve it.
So we are saying to young people, go out there, explore the world, explore the possibilities.
Follow Nomalungele Jele every Friday at 4:30 p.m. as she brings you inspirational entrepreneurial story covers from our very own entrepreneurs in the Kingdom of Eswatini.
Always strive to choose something that you enjoy.
Don't miss the chance to be motivated to turn your business ideas into reality at 4:30 p.m. on Friday on Sibuwa Semaswaati.
I'm a very, 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 very happy customer.
I know.
Imali ebhizinisi ayidliwa wayidla utolala phansi.
Hayi ngimsebenzi yethu lesindako la ekhaya njengoba niyibona limihle nangaka.
Ngiyakolosha, which is crocheting.
Ngiyakhicita ke noko kakhulu emsebenzini wethu ikhumba.
Ngenda kodaba emacici nokodaba ensanyeni.
Ngilungisa emagedlela.
Hello, how are you? We are selling peanuts at 5. Thank you so much. Umdala kubusi. Pandistrat, babe.
Welcome back. Today is a special day for the literature community, a day that is World Book and Copyright Day, a day dedicated to emphasizing the importance of reading, particularly celebrating authors as well. But there's also another aspect of today, which is Copyright Day. Let's welcome Mduduzi Shongwe, Assistant Librarian, who's going to walk us through the importance of this day. Mr. Shongwe, kwamukele ehlelweni suku olukhulu kakhulu namuhla ikakhulu emisebenzini leni yendawo. Certainly imisebenzi that has shaped even myself. Ngikhuluma nasingisi ngivalo lwimi nje liyashelela. Ngiyabona ukuthi it was through the adventure of reading. Lento ngayithanda ngimncane through which my parents were able and my teachers were able to inculcate, and not just my parents and teachers really, even the library lelapha eshiselweni lethe ngalomnye umnyaka yavele ibhadi lenkhulu. But I just want to celebrate imisebenzi yendawo ncenye singaqala nje ukukhuluma imisebenzi emihle kakhulu. I'm not just myself, it's a lot of us that can say itolo singenile library safunza incwadi yasisita ukuthi sikhone ku-interpreta tinto yasisita entweni letiningi. Lusuku lwalomuhla lubukwe umhlaba wonke jikelele. Luqale nini lo suku lelo ekuthenini umhlaba ungathi nje uthi sesifuna ke nyalo lo suku kulu-observer nokuthi ke uthini vele kumcoko balo.
Siyabonga kakhulu Ncumalo, sivusele balalele ekhaya nebabukeli. Lisuku le-World Book and Copyright Day laqala ngeminyaka wa-1995 lisukunyiswa nguye Mhlaphanhlangene UNESCO ngokubuka bomcoka nekuthi incwadi ngiyo lesihambisela phakathi kakhulu. So wabona Mhlaphanhlangene ukuthi asiligubhe sijabulele lisuku nekokuthi ke incwadi ayihambi yodwana ihamba nemithetho lebukele yona nase ikhona lekufuna ukuthi nase sayisebenzisa thine asiyibukede ngeke ke bantu bakwati lokhu singaligubhele lesuku lelo because nasigubha lesuku lelo ngilapho khona we tend to talk about such issues ukuthi incwadi singayisebenzisa kanjani nekwekuthi lemithetho lekhona lengamele incwadi nekwekuthi lababhali labasibhalelako kuze phela nabo babe nemagunya ekuchubeka babhale babukede ba research kuba kubhala incwadi akusiyo nje into lotawuvuka uyende lamuhla noma ngabe utawubhala story lesinganekwane uhlala phasi ukucabangisise ukubukede kahle bese uyabhala ke so kuze ke nabo batokhuthate kwababhali abadi lokho ukuthi kunemithetho lekhona babe nesiqiniseko ukuthi lesive lesisebenzisa letincwadi siyakhona ukubuka siyathi nale mithetho sitokhona kuyihlonipha kuze nabo basinababhala abadi lokho ukuthi cha lonke ubhalile ngeke kudlaphathiseke noma ngayiluphi ihlobo.
Yeah. And certainly, silivela kangwane lokunye nje lengikubonile in my personal capacities lokukhula kwabo babhali betincwadi, and I even have people as young as me lababhala tincwadi. I can even take a moment right now and say Nutsile Nkambule is someone that I know nencwadi called Demansele, beautiful book, beautiful writing, beautiful literature in there. Engabe niyayibona invelele appetite yabo babhali kungathi seyange ukukhula lapha event inombolo tabo. Do you have maybe a database ekhombisayo ukuthi nangemambala our local authors ayangeteka?
Kusitwa ngibashicileli labakhona 11 lokufaka ekhasi Macmillan naye Msebe lokhu ngibona abacishe bane database ephelele siyadibona vele inombolo tiyakhula because tincwadi tabo nathi sithatha khona thina nje lesinye sizathu sekwekuthi sithi asibe nalo lelisuku leli kwekuthi sikhuthate bona lababhali ukuthi nasebabhalile leti incwadi tabo atite kulama public institutions titokhona kwatiwa because that's the only way leningi yekutimarket thina tisinasetilakithi bese siyativulela ukuthi sisetshenziswe yipublic yebo ke ngekubuketa lemithetho lekhona so baningi kakhulu babhali bayakhuthateka bayabhala bayanza event kune aspect nje lencane lesasalanga kubo babhali ikakhulu naba labangakashicileli event because lalabashicilele event lama publishers lamabili lengwashidwa nalamanye ayasibambisa kakhulu ukuthi sikhone ku letincwadi sasishicilele bese basivetela sibanato kepha kukhona ukhanze ukuthi babhalile bethu bakhona 11 kepha bashicilele ngephandle letincwadi lesinye isikhathi ukhanze ukuthi igcine tingasafiki kulama public institutions kanzi it's a requirement by law lokuthi tifike kuma public institutions leto tincwadi sitokhona kudati kunelibhuku lesibiye sesiyalenda lelibitwa ngokuthi National Bibliographic Record lakho konke lokubhaliwe laveni lokubhalela iswati lokubhalwe ngalelive lethu khanze ukuthi kubhalwe khona kuyatiwa kuze lelibhuku lelo ke lahambe kahle ukuthi letincwadi ativele ngala emtapeni nase university nakhona la kugcina khona umlando ku-National Archives.
Quite interesting. Inzaba yayo le copyright, I understand it's under the umbrella of intellectual property, nabo patent, nabo trademark, but copyright in particular ubuka creative works. Na incwadi iyayidzinga le copyright. Why is it essential for an author to copyright their intellectual property?
Kumcoka kakhulu ngoba kutawukhona kumvikela umbhali ukuthi lo kubhaliwe kungabe sekuthathwa ngilomunye umuntu uyokusebenzisa kumbe angakusebenzisa atendele inzuzo loyo muntu so kuze le nzuzo igcine iphelele kulombhali ayibe copyrighted leyo ncwadi itokhona ukuthi nasekwendeka umuntu afuna ukuyireproduce angayireproduce without the permission of the owner, which is the author. Even us ungasinika noma singayithenga, but we cannot reproduce that book without the permission of the author. thina kwethu nje kusiyithengile sinalo kulakha sinalo lwati. In any case sesiyabhala ke sibhala etinye incwadi umcoka naloko ukuthi sikhone kuyireference lencwadi sisho ukuthi lena incwadi lokhu lenkubhala konyalo ngikuthathise encwadini leside.
Yeah.
Ngiko leke sekufundisa abantu, so every book should be copyrighted.
Yeah. Naba be Copyright and Neighboring Rights Society. We sigile saba nabo lapha ekhaya eSouthern TV nje about 2 days ago on a different program that I host. By insights ukuthi they're working on lama frameworks ukuthi our creative industry benefit from their intellectual property. Bafuna lo ukuthi yebo kona akhona nyalo. You can protect your IP, but they are still creating kahle lama frameworks ukuthi should you commercialize it? Should someone use your work? They should get consent. So that you really do benefit. My artists now are but nabo babali betting what some young forgotten Angelo Guva Nisa encourage anani ngalapo yongele misebendi if we intertwine and we will see the greater good of it all. So I wanna go see Sakwala Mixago Ekai. My misebendi abo misebendi lemsha cool that have certainly shaped society. I want us to talk about the appetite of readers, because there's no product that is important on its own without the consumer. I believe ukuthi incwadi consumer ayongilolo ifundzako. Ngikuthena ngikhula mina ngibekisile eqaleni ukuthi ngiye kakhulu library. But ngiyabona man kulamalanga ukuthi I'm not too sure if it's still the same, but ngiva ngathi it's not the same. Is it the advent of technology basetingcingweni sasidekethena letingcingo shonga? I believe nje wangivumelana ukuthi at what 12 10 sesemncane vele usathakase library wonganagcina ucobo wasemlomtsala, but labantu bana sebana letingcingo baseta in le library labantu
ngenhlanhla lenhle bantwana basete library, especially the school kids baseta kakhulu. Nangabekisa ngambabane namanzini nje, they do get traffic more than 1,000 people per day.
Wow.
So bantu baseta e library, yes, technology say na effect.
Let nombolo tiyakhula noma tiyahle, because that would be interesting to learn ukuthi tiyakhula.
Tinciphile, especially after COVID.
But it's not drastic.
It's not drastic.
Okay.
It was drastic just after COVID, but now it's a trend le upward nyalo setiyakhula.
That's beautiful.
So bantu basafunza, and now ubuka lokho ukuthi eminyakeni lengcile ema-college bekakhona even bekungilawa lakhelwe nguhulumende asupportwa nguhulumende, but now there are so many different colleges and universities lasakhona even lokusho ukuthi kufunza it's still part and parcel of everyone's life.
Of course.
So the book will always be there, information will still need to be consumed.
Yeah.
So ngiko siligubha lelanga, because even if sekukhona nyalo kokuthi the hard copies etincwadi tiyancipha because i-technology ithi anywhere anyhow so ungafunza.
Yeah.
But tincwadi they are still being published.
Indeed.
Sema e-books, but
Yeah.
that's still a book. That needs to be celebrated, that needs to be copyrighted,
Yeah.
that needs to be protected in every aspect.
It's still written by an author. At the
It's
end
still
of the
written
day.
by an author.
It's quite interesting, and you know, with the advent of labo technology, my e-books, I cannot be on my phone reading something for an extended period of time. Kanti lana ngivulela ama page kuba ngcono ngoba lana lama raise aletincingo kukhazisakala imata lamehlo. So I suppose nalapho kulolo hlangothi lolo kungaba advise nje abantu e-books are good, but you do want to make sure ukuthi awulimati emehlo akho seselana kuleti tebuchwephesha. Incwadi ayikavamile ukuthi kulimate kuloko. Mr. Shongwe, ama programs lenawo la khona nasetikolweni lenda show ukuthi the habit of reading is being inculcated. Asisekhona nema program la kanjalo, ama book club and all of that.
Ema-book clubs nje akhona, but sisazama kwavusa nyalo with other stakeholders lengeke ngiwasho kwalamuhla. Kepha nje we're trying ukuthi siyi-revive. One of it nje lesiyendako within the Manzini City, with the Manzini City Council, is to revive ema-book clubs, which siwacale kuma-preschools, which is something lengazange sayendeke, because these ones wasangakakwati kufunza, but sithi abakwati lokufunza kahle hle from the young ones bakuthanze sichubeke sikufunza. So we're reviving that one in all aspects, sibambisane nebantu labahlukene labanyenti. So akhona within the library itself we're doing so many programs, sibambisane ke netikolo kakhulu. We're working with those ones. We're trying to make sure ukuthi eventually, yes, ngema funds esikolo, but every school should have a library.
It is Friday, the 12th of April, and indeed it is World Book and Copyright Day. Wandile Shongwe, Assistant Librarian, is giving us all the insights that we need to know. It is the day, it is a Friday, Shongwe.
Lamuhla sitabe sikhona engamanzi emphakathini lapho khona sibe nenhlanhla kwagcina kwakhiwe yona i-resource center lokuyifaka khona i-library lekhona lakhathi emphakathi sithi njeke asikhuthade abantu bete emphakathi batobona le library batobona incwadi sisesekhona sitabe sinabo babhali sitabe sinayo emhlabuhlangene ne-UNESCO sitabe sinabo baka Copyright and Neighboring Rights Association kutokhulumisa kona lokho sitokhona ukuthi sitfole nebabhali labasha because we are also having kids njengoba shidwa lelanga leli umhlaba hlangene walibeka mhla ka-23 April but we are celebrating it on the 12th sibuka ukuthi most of the time suke set-evaluate ikolwa kanzima lenzaba yencwadi sifuna ukuthi bantwana babe khona so we are having the schools letakhelene nawo umphakathi ukuthi titokhona kusebenzisa lo mtapo welwathi sitokhona futhi ukuthi sicubule babhali labasha khona lapho.
Mr. Shongwe, thank you so much for your time. Have a good day. Happy Friday once again. Asibahlolet magetesta ubuya sikhulumisa etemidlalo nensathele emsakato etemidlalo. The award-winning Fabrice Simpson, don't go anywhere.
Catch Eswatini Lifestyle Friday evenings at 6:30 p.m. on Eswatini TV. Hello, and of course, this is Eswatini Lifestyle, and of course, this is your wonderful host, Chukiz Meaning, who's here to give you nothing but the best of the entertainment and lifestyle scene in the kingdom of Eswatini. Get the trending stories with your favorite stars of Eswatini and fashion, showbiz, food, travel, and events. They say when you're in doubt, which color do you wear? Orange. Simply follow Eswatini Lifestyle on our Eswatini TV pages and social media platforms. Don't forget to catch the show Fridays at 6:30 p.m., repeat on Mondays at 9 a.m. on Eswatini TV, Spogo Semaswati.
Hello everyone, my name is Mahu. Get the beat down on Saturday.
Catch Eswatini Lifestyle Friday evenings at 6:30 p.m. on Eswatini TV. Hello, and of course, this is Eswatini Lifestyle, and of course, this is your wonderful host, Chukiz Meaning, who's here to give you nothing but the best of the entertainment and lifestyle scene in the kingdom of Eswatini. Get the trending stories with your favorite stars of Eswatini and fashion, showbiz, food, travel, and events. They say when you're in doubt, which color do you wear? Orange. Simply follow Eswatini Lifestyle on our Eswatini TV pages and social media platforms. Don't forget to catch the show Fridays at 6:30 p.m., repeat on Mondays at 9 a.m. on Eswatini TV, Spogo Semaswati.
All right, welcome back. Let's get into our sports segment. Fabrice Msonera is here to talk all things Demidlalo, Dempelasonto, Lesia Guyo, bese solo sithi ibuyile seyihambile kenyalo. Ake sibuke nayi iPremier League of Eswatini. It's going to be a big weekend. We are expecting a Forces derby this weekend. King Sopuza II Stadium, Green Mamba is going to face off against Young Buffaloes. They will be playing this Saturday. Fabrice, it's going to be a thriller of a game, but Kalanga Technical Center also has, some attractions there that people do want to see this weekend. But I do want us to focus maybe starting on a derby. There's Green Mamba fresh off in Ngonyama Cup, still excited about that, but. The focus now, Funaba Shell excitement, should be the league. They do want to lift this one as well. But all of that happening while there are news that Ernest Mavuso's contract has expired. Is it being renewed? Is it not being renewed? There would be, I'm trying to find a respectful word. They would be very negligent not to renew his contract as a Green Mamba. He has such a flawless record. Talk to me about this game, everything that is happening behind it.
Sfiso, having witnessed what we saw the past weekend of the Ngonyama Cup, when I woke up this morning on Friday, I was like, we have now got back to the MTN Premier League action, where even the defending champions of the league, who happens to be the current champions of the Ngonyama Cup, they have to get into the action against Young Buffaloes. Young Buffalo has been on a break. They didn't play any game this past weekend, so they had a good, roughly 9 to 10 days of preparations. Only Green Mamba, I think when I was in touch with one of their officials, is that they only recovered, started training on Wednesday from the game on Sunday. But when you look at their fixture against Green Mamba, against Green Mamba, Young Buffaloes, then it gives you the proper idea of where the league is heading. I still maintain, Sfiso, that Young Buffaloes, in my opinion, will lift this trophy. You might get the results that will shock you. You might get the results that will shock you this weekend between the two sides. But when you look at who is standing on the log of the table, then you get the clarity of where we're heading. Remember, we're only left with, I would say, 6 games in the season. So then you ask yourself, have we really got the excitement yet? No, we're still yet to get the proper excitement, because there are other big games between those top 4 teams. Swallows at some point also they'll be in action. But between number 1 and number 4, there's 3 points. Green Mamba they know that defeating Young Buffaloes, they will catch up with them. They will get close to them. It will also depend on how Ray Leopard would have played. Swallows is playing Rangers. It will also depend on how they would have played. But for me, we might once again get into the weekend with a different log leader. We might come back Monday, Sfiso, and talk about a different log leader. As you can see, all the games, I think, are on Saturday. There are games this afternoon at, Mayaluga. The 12 is today. At the afternoon, there is 2 games at Mayaluga and Galanga. I think that's a relegation part. But let's talk about the title chase that you've been talking about, the run-in, where we look at the teams that are in action. Leopard is at Prince of Wales against Zulu United. If they win the game, they'll have to wait and see what happens between Young Buffaloes and Green Mamba. So they'll be on top of the log for at least 30 minutes, because the game there starts at 3. Here it starts at 2:30. So we'll be on top of the log for at least 30 minutes. But what a weekend. Rangers, Bafana Swallows, I'm not expecting really a tough time for Bafana Swallows at Mkhuzweni. I think it's becoming more of a home venue for Bafana Swallows. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they could be playing their 5th game of this season, including the Ngonyama Cup fixtures. So I think it's going to be interesting. Yeah. I think they have a good record there. Okay. They haven't really had bad results. If it's the worst results, we can only count a draw. But in terms of performance, it seems like it's becoming a home territory for them. But otherwise, the excitement also goes all the way to the Garanga Stadium on Saturday, where there's 2 fixtures. We've got the 2 big teams, actually 3, because there's things in hospitals. Also, Mazleng, it's a tough opponent. We can't really run away from them. But that's another attraction that we can wait for Saturday at Gala.
Yeah, and indeed, speaking on the Nsingizini game, Wanderers want to make sure that they win this one, because they are relegation threatened.
I think if you look at the relegation battles, so like I said, there are games tonight, this evening. So we might have a different position also by the time we go to bed, because if Pirates is in action, Denver Sun is in action, and you look at between Manzini Wanderers and Zulu United, it's just a difference of goals. And then you look at also Denver, if they win their game today, they might jump to with 18 points and go to 11th. Monterey Pirates, if they win their game. So anything will change before we go to bed tonight. And then tomorrow, and then Wanderers also is in action. It also, Zulu United is in action against Royal Leopard. So anything can change. So like I said last time, so the teams that I can say they are safe from relegation, Rangers is not yet safe. Only the team I can say that maybe could be safe is Ilovo, because even Madlenya and Madlenya maybe na Ilovo and Manzini Seabirds, anything can still happen, because between them and Manzini Wanderers there is only 6 points. That's 2 games. The only problem, you can only count Ilovo and Manzini Wanderers. That is close to 9 points. That almost 10 points. That is hard to say that someone will lose 3 games while you are winning. But from Manzini Seabirds up to number 14. Anything can change, anything can happen, but they don't have to really be reckless. That is the likes of Seabirds and Rangers. But otherwise, team that should be comfortable, it's just Ilovo, should be really comfortable, and Madlenya. But for Mbabane Highlanders, do they really consider themselves as a team with a chance? They know that football being football, but I wouldn't say them and Sings and Hospers, they can count themselves as teams with the high chances of winning the league.
Mbabane Swallows surprise, coming off a defeat by Grand Mamba on last weekend of the Ngwenyama Cup. Surely they must want to, go all out with their head on their shoulders and say, we want to leverage the Premier League at the very least. That we are at a good position, we can still win it. We just need luck and hard work on our side. And, without Reigns, perhaps even their power substitute can be able to play really good football, because we did see what hampered his game at the Ngwenyama Cup. What is your sentiment regarding Mbabane Swallows? Yes, without looking at this game, maybe because, like you have said, they have a great record at Mkhuzweni Arena, and they might beat Rangers looking at the records that they have. Just overall for Mbabane Swallows with 6 games remaining, what are their odds?
More than anything, Swiss, I think they are heartbroken, because if you look at, you have actually lost 3 finals this season. They reached the Momo Cup final. They reached the Trade Fair Cup final. They reached the Ngwenyama Cup final. Well, these are knockout tournaments. So, so if they want to really go back to Africa, like they have been saying that they want to return to the African competitions, they have to win the league. And it's not easy. They have to pray that results are going in a different direction for the teams above them. But I don't think they are within, I don't think it should be a problem for them, because that game against Buffaloes at some point that they will play will also change everything. So they are 1 point behind log leaders. They stand a chance. I think 70 to 80%, they stand a chance to have the league. But for Buffaloes, I think they're the first to be given a chance, 90% to 95%.
Why is no one talking about the chances for Royal Leopards? What
I
is
think
the skepticism around Leopards? No one is talking about
more
Leopards
than anything. So they're a good side, good players, individual skills, experience. Talk about the likes of, Swiso Matse, Sitlaun captain. You talk about Junior Magagurov. I think the best number 10 currently in the country. If you have to look at, the likes of captain also of the team. So you look at how they've been performing this season. There's that lack of consistency, because they'll give you 4 games in a row with a victory. Then they go and draw 2. They have lacked consistency. And then that's where you can easily judge them. Beautiful football by Edwin Matsebura. Beautiful skills by some of the players. I was talking about their players, Mzoro, Muzil. So I think if you look at where their fixtures are, you then have to put your money on other teams because of the issue of consistency. But make no mistake, they're up there. They have a chance, and they can hurt anyone as well.
I wanted to talk about the relegation battle. Wanderers is still relegation threatened at 11. Zulu United, I could say, they are also facing a big relegation threat there at number 12. Obviously, Denver and Monterey Pirates, that goes without saying. Which 2 teams would you predict, with the 6 games remaining, are being relegated?
I think I've given my opinion on this on countless occasions, just saying that one of the big 3 teams, 2 actually, not 1, 2 of the big 3 teams within Manzini will go down. That is Wanderers, that is Denver Sundowns, that is Monterey Pirates. I'm not saying all of them are going down, no. In my opinion, 2 will go down and 1 will be safe. Which one to be safe? Likely. I think I've been impressed with what Wanderers is doing in the latest moment of the season. They have picked up themselves. You know, Coach Nyanga is back at the helm of things. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Players are back together. Besides the issue of really not being satisfied in how they are treated financially, but they are they're playing for the badge. So for Denver and Monterey Pirates, I think question mark is there. I think they could be the team that really drop to the relegation zone. And as Zulu United, if things go accordingly, they could be safe. So the way they're standing, I think this is how the league could end, in the relegation. But
I want us to, with the very few minutes remaining, I want us to look at the English Premier League. Match day 33 of 38. Very few games remaining that side as well. Very interesting league this year, just like our local league, but you know, super interesting how we see a different number on almost every after 5 or 4 days. Fabrice, Man City is going to host Luton at the Etihad. You got Arsenal hosting Aston Villa at Emirates. Liverpool is not playing this weekend, I believe, but you know, if you look at the standings as well, you see where Liverpool is, second position. Just a few days ago they were celebrating being first position. So no one can really right now say it with confidence who's going to win it all. But let's talk about these games that we're going to see this weekend. Arsenal, let's start with Arsenal because they are there.
Actually, the other 3 are in action over the weekend because Liverpool has got Crystal Palace. So they've got Crystal Palace. I think what delays the fixture now, we've entered a journey now when you get to March, April, May, where it's your midweek because of Champions League and Europa League, then you've got the weekend. In my opinion, I think all the 3 teams should not encounter any difficulty. I think all the 3 teams should go through and get 3 points. Arsenal away to Aston Villa, it's a tough fixture. No one should deny that. And I think if you look at the remaining games, this is what I've been. Thank you very much to the producer. This is what I've been asking for Sfiso, so that I take you through. These are the remaining games from the 3 sides. When I said what I picked from one similarity of the teams, when one team is away, the 3 of them are away. Monitor this. Arsenal is away to Aston Villa. Liverpool is away to Crystal Palace. City is away to Luton. You look at all the similarities. Whenever a team is at home, the other one is at home, which means even during the final day of the season, they will have to have 3 trophies because at some point, the only change that will happen is City that will be only away. Otherwise, the consistency has been there because home, away, and Liverpool and Arsenal will be home on the last day of the season. But look at maybe the running fixture for Arsenal. I think that the worrying games is the game against Aston Villa this weekend, and then in a fortnight.
They're playing at the Emirates?
No, they're away. They're away to Villa Park. It's a tough one. Villa Park is a very tough place to go to in Birmingham. Then you've got a game against Chelsea. It's a London derby, even though it's Chelsea, it's south, but Arsenal is at home. Then you've got Spurs away. It's a tough one. And then you've got Manchester United away. So those are the 4 games that I think Arsenal need to win to take the league. You win against Aston Villa, you win against Chelsea, Spurs, and Manchester United. Those are the 4 games. Now look at Liverpool. Liverpool, they've got a derby against Everton. That's a Merseyside derby, and then they have got Spurs as well, and then they have got Aston Villa. So those are 3 games. Liverpool they have to consider. They've got Spurs, they've got Merseyside derby against Everton, they've got Villa, who's also fighting for the top 4. Now, 4 Arsenal, 3 Liverpool. Let's look at Manchester City. Manchester City, they've got West Ham and Spurs. Actually, West Ham, you wouldn't really, not to undermine them, but they have got Spurs, the team to worry about.
Yeah.
So you understand their chances. So this is what I've been wanting to look at, so to say, we're not undermining other clubs because this is the English Premiership. Anything can happen. But the team with the most difficult opponents, it's Arsenal. They're followed by Liverpool and then Manchester City. They have got also the least. Yeah, I think their biggest game is Spurs. So Spurs have got the card to decide who takes the league because Spurs, they host all the 3 teams. Spurs, they host Arsenal. Spurs, they host Liverpool. Spurs, they host City. So all the three are fighting the run-in for the title. They still have to go to the new White Hart Lane. So it's a tough one, Siso. But what a season so far.
Yeah, and the relegation battle there as well. You know, we've got Luton, Burnley, and Sheffield United. Things have not been really looking good for Nottingham Forest as well. You know, they're also down there.
Those are the two teams I would not love to see them relegated, especially Nottingham Forest. I think it's a team with a rich history. It's a team with so much, that comes with being a Nottingham Forest team, the history of them winning the European Championship back in the days. But I think also Luton Town have been impressed with their performance. I think if you look at some of the experienced players they have, your Ross Beckley, former Chelsea, they have got Townsend, former Tottenham midfielder. So these are some of the players that have pushed the teams. But if you look at their fixtures this weekend, Luton go to host Manchester City. I mean, I don't think they would struggle. Both teams to score. I'm hoping those who will be maybe wanting to bet, to put their money on the teams. Luton is a tough place to go, but they lack that maintaining 90 minutes to hold a team. I think City will get 3 points, but Luton also try to touch on their net. That should not be a problem. Manchester United, Bournemouth, also another game. Manchester United visit Bournemouth at Vitality Stadium. It's a tough place to go to, Swiss Vitality Stadium. We can't undermine that. Crystal Palace visit Liverpool. I would have loved Liverpool to go to Selhurst Park, but it's a different situation. They're at home, so we have to wait and see. And then you've got West Ham. That's another London derby. West Ham Fulham. It's another London derby. And then you've got Arsenal, Aston Villa, which I think is the game of the weekend.
Yeah.
And Arsenal need to get 3 points. The good thing, I think, is the first time in more than, 7 to 8 years, where it's this time of the season where Arsenal has got the fewest number of players on injury. I think the only player who's injured is Timber. The injury we're talking about is not like he's out of play. He's actually training with the team, but he's not yet ready to be in the first squad. So, in other words, if we're to tell you the truth, Arsenal has got the entire squad ready up to the remaining of the season. So it's quite impressive. Yeah, you fight for your position.
The highest level of the English Football League system is the English Premier League, with 20 clubs all competing for that hardware. Few will be relegated and only one is going to lift it. We'll see after the remaining 7 games. We'll see if Fabrice's predictions are spot on. We'll also see him in our domestic league if his predictions are spot on, but we'll be back on Monday to discuss everything.
Domestically, I said Young Buffaloes. In England, I say Liverpool.
Fair enough. Yeah, we'll go for a net break. We'll close the show with Lugalele after the break, but we'll talk about that next week, Monday.
All right, thank you.
Okay, but vuka sikhulume.
Is marriage the prize? No.
Do I smash on the first date?
Also, I don't have exes. I only have a current.
All right, we've come to the end of our show today. Thank you so much for joining us. Sithemba ukuthi kuningi lokuthokodele lomhlehlelo nethu. Sitekile tindzaba te King's birthday, satiteka tindzaba the World Copyright Day, netindzaba tetemidlalo. Sithemba ukuthi ukuthokodele kuba nazi bhazi kena usonza kuzivulela ngakhathazeki usangakhona ku-rewinder lapha ka YouTube ucalela phasi lihlelo lethu uze ufike emaphethelweni nalo. It's a weekend, so yeah.
So yawulala ibonene Green Mamba ne Young Buffaloes ngemgcibelo King Sopuza, the second stadium the biggest attraction this weekend, without a doubt. Not negating all the other games that will be fun indeed happening. Go on ema-ground, ema-tinkundla, tesive, letikhona, lapho khona, kutaba kuchutselene khona, ema-team la khona. Only a few games left. Engabe nguyiphi leta uphakamisa inkomisa siyawubona khona. Kodwa nje lesigcizelela kakhulu bekunene malanga nje lasikhombisa nje kuphela. Kuyavela kube njalo emangane, na mangane awumncinyana. Bonkosi impela Sonfo ayibe ngilehle ibe ngile responsible kakhulu kunala responsible ngoba sesigciniwe ukuthi ngemsombuluko sifunze ama headlines abantu laba natha nakulaba kunathako bese bawusonisa lapha emigwaqweni asiyifundi imvo leyo siyayikhuda ayiphela iTeam 4 kuyekelene imvo leyo ndasilimada la mgwaqweni bongosi siyacela siyancenga sinekhudi ke siyanicela ngcono sibacele phela mphomeni ngoba ngathi nasibekhuda ngathi benta kakhulu bathe ngiyabuka hawu lethi nombolo tiyenyuka ngempela sonto ayo ama interventions etawendiwa lapho atawugcine seka stringent kakhulu kodwa nje bongosi kunivalelisa nibe nempela sonto lenhle nalebusekile nisale kahle.